In this part of the lesson, we're going to be focused on using the third person pronouns in sentences. Remember that these pronouns can be used in all the same ways that a noun can be used. Let's take a look at how we see the pronoun used in the nominative case. The queen loves the farmer, but she doesn't want to live in the farmhouse. The third person pronoun in this sentence is she. Its antecedent is queen. Queen is singular and feminine, and she is the subject of doesn't want to live. So I must have my pronoun be feminine, nominative, and singular, which is why the pronoun form is ea. Remember that in Latin, you can express a pronoun subject like he, she, it, or they, even we or you, without a word, without the actual pronoun in the sentence. And you can simply rely on the ending of the verb. In this particular example, we would likely not see the pronoun in a Latin sentence, but instead we would rely on desiderat, the T, to refer to she, meaning the queen, as the subject. The reason for using the pronoun would be to emphasize that she doesn't want to live in the farmhouse. Now we'll continue to look at the third person pronoun in use by focusing on the genitive case. The queen loves the farmer, but she will not take care of his animals. She's not a very nice person. His is the pronoun. Its antecedent is farmer. Since farmer is singular and masculine, our form of his must also be singular and masculine. It is intended to show possession, so it must be in the genitive case. And so we'll use ellos. The queen loves the farmer, but she will not take care of ellos animalia, his animals. Unfortunately, things aren't so easy with the genitive case. There is a special circumstance that occurs when the antecedent of the possessive, his, hers, its, or their, is the subject of the sentence. When that happens, instead of using is, ea, in, or eorum, earum, eorum, the Roman author uses the possessive reflexive adjective suus aum. This is equivalent to meus aum and tuus aum, nostra, nostra, nostrum, and vester, vestra, vestrum, which we saw for I and we and you. You will only use the possessive reflexive adjective if the antecedent of the possessive pronoun, his, hers, its, or their, is the subject of the sentence. Let me show you what it looks like. The queen loves the farmer, but she wants to live in her palace. So in this sentence, the her is the possessive pronoun, and it refers to she, which is referring to the queen, which is the subject of the sentence. For this reason, when I write this particular sentence in Latin, instead of using eius, I must use the possessive reflexive adjective suus aum, which will describe palace. That's why in the sentence it's written as sua, because it has the feminine ablative singular ending on it, just because regia, palace, is feminine and ablative and singular. Let's look at this one. The farmer loves the queen, but he will not leave his farm behind. They're in quite a state, aren't they, if they're not going to want to live with each other. So here again, his is the possessive, and it is the same as he, which is the same as farmer, and that is the subject of the sentence. So therefore, I will need to use the reflexive adjective suus aum to describe farm. I will not write it in the genitive case because the word farm is not showing possession. His is an adjective possessing the farm, but it isn't actually showing possession in the sentence. That's just the nature of the adjective. So when the adjective is used to describe farm, it must have the same gender, case, and number as farm. Farm is masculine and singular, and it is the accusative or the direct object in this sentence, so it's in the accusative case, which is why my adjective is suum to describe agrum. Now, interestingly, the reflexive adjective is necessary only if its absence will cause confusion. If there is no confusion that would appear in the sentence, then you don't actually have to use the suus aum. We've seen this dozens of times. From the beginning of Latin 1, we've been adding words like his or hers or its or their into the sentence simply because it made sense. That's the norm. The norm is like this: the farmer loves the queen, but he will not leave his farm behind. It makes sense that the farm that he's not going to leave behind is his own. There's no confusion in that sentence about who is the his. We know it's the farmer. So we would probably see the sentence written, Agricola ama reginam sed agrum non relinquet. It's the same sentence as up above, but minus the suum. Yet we understand that it is the farmer who's not willing to leave behind his own farm. We understand that even without the presence of suum. So you'll see that the author will use the reflexive adjective only if he is trying to eliminate confusion or if he wants to emphasize the idea of the fact that it is the subject who owns this item that is being described. Now let's see if you can decide if the possessive in the sentence will need to use a form of eius, eorum, earum, or if it will need to use the possessive reflexive adjective suus aum.